The Eagles have been struggling lately, and it is impossible to ignore how flat and uninspired their offense has looked. Over the past few games, fans are frustrated, and there is a lot of speculation about what needs to happen to revive this team. The offense, which once looked like one of the most dynamic units in the league, has become predictable, vanilla, and lacking energy. Kevin Patullo, the offensive coordinator, has faced criticism for his play calling, but it is not entirely his fault. The lack of execution by players and the penalties have compounded the problems. And while he is running Nick Sirianni's system, it is clear that the offense is not clicking the way it should. At this point, some voices are even calling for Patullo to be demoted or replaced in order to give the team a spark and inject life into an offensive line and unit that have looked lifeless for weeks. The Eagles' offensive line has been a major factor in this offensive slump. Coming into the season, the expectation was that running backs like Saquon Barkley would find lanes and produce big numbers behind a strong front. Instead, injuries and underperformance have left the line struggling. Jordan Mailata has not been the same dominant presence. Landon Dickerson has dealt with injuries and has struggled in protection. Cam Jurgens has been bullied up front. And while Tyler Steen has been steady, the absence of Lane Johnson for much of the year has been costly. Missing players like Becton has also hurt the interior line, and as a result, the running game has failed to thrive. Jalen Hurts has shown flashes of brilliance in the past, but the lack of support from the line has limited his ability to execute big plays consistently. The challenges go beyond the offensive line. The receivers and skill players have struggled to create separation and capitalize on the opportunities that do arise. A.J. Brown, one of the most explosive and physical wide receivers in the league, has performed well when given the chance, but questions loom about his future if the team does not show progress. If the Eagles fail to turn things around, his desire to stay may waver, and a trade could become a real possibility. He has been an all-pro performer in each of his 3 seasons, and his production has been vital to the team's success. But ongoing offensive struggles could create tension and distractions that management will need to manage carefully. Jeffrey Lurie and Howie Roseman have been aggressive and committed to winning for years, and they will not shy away from making big changes if necessary. The talent on this team is undeniable, but the way it has been deployed recently has been puzzling. The Eagles' most efficient plays, such as the traditional push in short yardage situations, are no longer reliable because the interior line cannot get the push needed. The offense has lacked creativity in its play design, with predictable patterns and limited scheming to free up playmakers. Even though the team has maintained a strong focus on ball security and turnover creation under Sirianni's guidance, the inability to execute at a high level has made games difficult to watch and frustrating for fans. Injuries have further complicated matters. The physical toll on key players has left gaps in both the offensive and defensive units, forcing backups to step into roles for which they are not fully prepared. Drew Kendall, Cameron Williams, and Myles Hinton have potential, but this year they have not been ready to contribute at the level needed to keep the offense competitive. The struggles on the line ripple through the entire unit, affecting both the running and passing game and putting additional pressure on Jalen Hurts to create plays under duress. The timing of this slump is particularly concerning as the Eagles approach the latter part of the season, with just over half of the regular season remaining. The team must make adjustments quickly if it hopes to contend for the NFC Championship. Every misstep now carries heightened weight, and the margin for error is shrinking. The NFC remains wide open, with no clear dominant team, which makes it even more critical for the Eagles to regain momentum. A single change in the offensive coordinator role or an injection of energy from a new voice could be what sparks the offense back to life. Fans and analysts alike are watching closely, recognizing that this team's potential is immense but underutilized. Sirianni has earned praise as a head coach and CEO of this team, building a culture focused on toughness, detail, and cohesion. The Eagles have excelled in taking care of the ball and creating turnovers, emphasizing fundamentals and discipline. Despite not being heavily involved in calling plays, he has overseen an operation that, under normal circumstances, executes efficiently. However, reliance on coordinators can expose weaknesses when those coordinators are not meeting expectations. The offensive rhythm and creativity have faltered, leaving the team predictable and easy to defend, while the defense has kept the team competitive in recent games. The inability of the offense to generate consistent production has put the Eagles in difficult positions, especially against top opponents in the NFC. Looking forward, the Eagles need a plan to stabilize the offense. Whether through internal adjustments, personnel changes, or a new coordinator, the urgency is undeniable. The players themselves must execute better. But the coaching staff must also recognize where changes are necessary to maximize the team's talent. Defensive struggles have highlighted vulnerabilities that opponents can exploit, and without decisive action, the season could slip away despite the high-quality roster and the strong culture that has been built over the past several years. The pressure is mounting on the Eagles as the season progresses, and every game now feels like a test of the team's resilience and strategy. The offense must rediscover its identity if the team hopes to compete at the highest level. Jalen Hurts, despite his physical gifts and past successes, has shown inconsistency that has left fans and analysts questioning whether he can carry the offense through these rough patches. His touchdown-to-turnover ratio remains solid, but the lack of rhythm and support from the line has forced him into difficult situations too often, making every decision critical and every mistake magnified. The offensive coordinator situation looms large, with Kevin Patullo under scrutiny, while the scheme itself is dictated by Sirianni. The implementation and adjustments during games have been lacking. The predictability of the offense has allowed opposing defenses to anticipate plays and shut down opportunities before they develop. Play calling rhythm, timing, and creative solutions in key moments have been noticeably absent, and without adjustments, the offense will continue to stagnate. The debate over whether to replace or demote Patullo is intensifying as each week passes without meaningful improvement. Adding a fresh perspective or a new voice could energize the team and create opportunities that have not been available under the current structure. A.J. Brown's situation adds another layer of complexity. His physicality and talent are undeniable, and when healthy, he remains one of the league's most explosive receivers. The Eagles must navigate his future carefully, as his willingness to stay may hinge on whether he sees tangible changes in the offensive direction. If the organization can realign and reinvigorate the unit, Brown may remain committed and productive. If not, his departure could create a significant gap in the receiving corps. The team's leadership must balance immediate solutions with long-term planning to avoid further disruption while maximizing the talent on the roster. Looking at the running game, expectations were high for a balanced attack, but the line's struggles have limited effectiveness. On the ground, Saquon Barkley, Jordan Mailata, and Landon Dickerson were expected to anchor a powerful rushing attack. But injuries and inconsistent performance have forced adjustments and reliance on backups, who are not yet ready for the challenges of regular season competition. The offensive line's inability to generate push and create lanes has put additional pressure on Hurts, and the resulting predictability has made the offense easier to defend. This issue highlights the importance of depth and development in the trenches, and the team may need to consider both short-term and long-term solutions to stabilize this critical component. Special teams and situational plays have remained areas of relative strength, but they cannot compensate for the deficiencies in the offensive execution. The team's culture, built on discipline, toughness, and accountability, remains a foundation. Yet, even strong culture cannot overcome systemic flaws without corresponding adjustments on the field. The Eagles' leadership, including Sirianni, Roseman, and Lurie, are faced with challenging decisions that require balancing patience with urgency, maintaining morale while demanding higher performance, and ensuring that the team remains competitive while addressing fundamental weaknesses. The NFC landscape this season provides both opportunity and risk, with no single team dominating. The Eagles have a path to contention, but only if they can address the current offensive struggles. Opponents are prepared to exploit the lack of creativity and rhythm, and the margin for error is slim. Every missed block, every failed route, every misread by the quarterback can have a disproportionate impact on outcomes. The pressure to adjust, whether through personnel changes, scheme modifications, or leadership interventions, is immense, and the team must respond swiftly to avoid losing ground in a competitive conference. Brian Daboll has emerged as a potential candidate for offensive coordinator changes. His track record with developing quarterbacks and implementing effective offensive schemes makes him an intriguing option. Daboll's experience elevating players like Daniel Jones and Josh Allen demonstrates his ability to maximize talent and adapt schemes to players' strengths. Bringing in a coach of his caliber could offer new insights, refine the play calling, and create a spark that has been missing. Whether he is the ultimate solution or a transitional figure, The discussion underscores the need for decisive action from the Eagles management and coaching staff. Beyond coaching, player development and health remain critical. The Eagles' depth at key positions, including the offensive line, skill positions, and defensive units, will determine the team's ability to withstand the rigors of the season. Young players like Drew Kendall, Cameron Williams, and Myles Hinton have potential, but relying on untested talent mid-season carries risk. Injuries to key contributors such as Lane Johnson or Becton highlight the fragility of the roster and the importance of planning for contingencies. Maximizing the performance of healthy veterans while nurturing emerging talent is a delicate balance, but one that is essential if the Eagles aim to reach the postseason in a competitive NFC. Every game moving forward has heightened significance. The team cannot afford prolonged slumps or extended periods of predictable, ineffective offensive play. Adjustments must be made not just at the scheme level, but also in how players are utilized, how matchups are exploited, and how the offense responds to pressure. Jalen Hurts must regain confidence and rhythm, while the line must create opportunities for both the running and passing games. Leadership decisions, including potential changes at offensive coordinator, will signal to the team the level of accountability and urgency required. The Eagles' window of opportunity remains open, but it is narrowing. The combination of talented players, strong leadership, and organizational culture gives the team the tools to overcome challenges. But execution and adaptation are essential. The NFC is filled with teams that can compete, and the Eagles cannot rely solely on past successes or individual talent to carry them forward. Each week demands preparation, focus, and decisive action to address the shortcomings that have emerged since the bye week. Fans are watching closely, understanding that the season's trajectory will depend on how quickly and effectively the Eagles respond to their current defensive struggles, and whether leadership can inspire the team to regain its earlier form. Ultimately, this team has everything it needs to be elite. The defense has remained a pillar of strength, the offense has flashes of brilliance, and the leadership at the top understands what it takes to compete at the highest level. The challenge is integrating all these elements into a cohesive, unstoppable force on the field. With the right changes, a reinvigorated offense, and continued excellence on defense, the Eagles are capable of returning to the top and making a serious run at a championship. The potential is there, the urgency is palpable, and the opportunity is too great to waste. What happens next will define the season and, quite possibly, the legacy of this team for years to come. FlyEaglesFly News Family, smash subscribe and hit like. Your support keeps the freshest Philadelphia Eagles updates flying in. Drop your take in the comments and let's talk birds. The NFL is buzzing after an unexpected twist that has sent shockwaves through front offices and locker rooms alike. Word is spreading that the Philadelphia Eagles have pulled off a stunning move by securing a deal with star pass rusher Myles Garrett, though no official announcement has been made. The whispers coming out of league circles are loud enough to drown out any attempts at secrecy. Executives are reportedly scrambling to verify the story, while players are said to be reacting with equal parts disbelief and curiosity. According to those close to the situation, the Eagles acted swiftly and decisively, capitalizing on a narrow window of opportunity to land one of the most dominant defensive forces in football. The move, if confirmed, would instantly reshape the franchise's defensive identity and signal a dramatic escalation in their championship ambitions. Garrett's presence alone would alter the balance of power in the NFC, and the mere possibility of him lining up in midnight green has sparked frantic speculation. Coaches around the league are already imagining the nightmare scenarios that opposing quarterbacks might soon face inside Philadelphia. The rumor has ignited a wave of excitement. Analysts are debating how Garrett would fit into the team's defensive scheme, imagining him anchoring the line with his trademark explosiveness and strength. Fans, meanwhile, are flooding social media with reactions ranging from stunned celebration to cautious skepticism. Some insiders claim the discussions have been in the works for longer than anyone realized, conducted quietly behind closed doors in a manner that has caught even seasoned reporters off guard. If this rumor proves true, it would mark one of the most aggressive roster moves the Eagles have made in recent memory. A bold swing that signals their intent to push past the swirling competition in the conference. For now, though, the story lives in that electrifying space between rumor and confirmation, fueling speculation and stirring the imagination of fans across the league. Whether smoke or fire, one thing is certain: the Eagles have once again become the center of the NFL's attention. and the league is waiting with bated breath to see what comes next. That's a wrap from FlyEaglesFly News. If you want the fastest Eagles updates, subscribe, drop a like, and turn on the bell. Sound off in the comments. Let's talk birds.